Around you, the world is full of people who once had dreams. They wanted to be great, to build something meaningful, to live with purpose. But somewhere along the way, they settled. They traded ambition for comfort, passion for routine, potential for excuses. And maybe you've done the same. You started something once with fire in your heart, but then life got hard. You failed, you got tired, and you told yourself, maybe this is enough. But deep down, you know it's not. Deep down, you know you're capable more strength, more focus, more purpose. You feel that whisper inside that says, I was meant for something greater. That's why you're here today. Not to hear just another motivational talk, but to wake up that part of you that's been quiet for too long. Today, I'm asking you to make one promise. To yourself, stop settling for average. Don't live another day as half the person you could be. Because the truth is average is crowded, but excellence, that's where few dare to go. So stay with me till the end of this talk, because together we're going to break through the comfort, silence the excuses, unlock the version of you that the world desperately needs to see. You know what's crazy? Most people don't even realize when they've started to settle. It doesn't happen all at once. It's subtle. It creeps in little by little. You start a job and you tell yourself, this is temporary. You'll move on when you find something better. But then months pass, years pass, and suddenly that job you were never passionate about becomes your identity. The fire you once had, it's dimmed. Not because you lost it, but because you stopped feeding it. Settling isn't about failure. It's about forgetting what you're capable of. It's about lowering your expectations of yourself so you can avoid disappointment. You start saying, I'm fine, it's good enough. But what you're really saying is, I've accepted less than I deserve. And I get it. Life has a way of wearing you down. You give your best and things don't go your way. You start to think maybe you were wrong for wanting more. Maybe you're asking too much. Maybe average is okay. But let me tell you something. Average is not okay. It's a lie dressed up as safety. It's the comfort zone whispering, stay here. It's easy. But that same comfort zone, it's the reason people wake up at 40, 50, 60 years old and realize they've been living the same year on repeat, calling it a life. When you settle, you trade your power for permission. You start waiting for the right time, waiting for motivation, waiting for someone else to tell you it's your turn. But no one's coming to save you. No one's going to knock on your door and say, hey, I think you've been playing small. Here's your dream life. That's your job. You have to wake yourself up. Think about it. There was a time when you believed you could do anything. When you were younger, before the world told you to be realistic. Rejection taught you to shrink. Before fear dressed itself up as logic, you used to dream freely. But somewhere along the way, you stopped asking, what's possible for me? And started asking, safe for me. And that's the moment average won. You want to recognize when you're settling. Listen to the language you use every day. When you hear yourself saying, I guess that's just the way things are, or maybe it's not meant to be. That's not truth speaking. That's your fear negotiating. You're not stuck. You're just scared of the discomfort that comes with growing. You've built a life that fits the limits of your effort instead of the size of your potential. Sometimes we even convince ourselves that settling is maturity. We say, I've learned to be content, but there's a difference between gratitude and complacency. Gratitude says, I'm thankful for what I have. Complacency says, I'll stop reaching for more. You can be deeply grateful for your life and still hungry for growth. You can love where you are and still know you're capable of more. The moment you confuse peace with settling, you begin to shrink. When you shrink, the world misses out on what only you could have created. Let's be honest, settling feels safe because it eliminates uncertainty. You can't fail at something you never try. But the cost of that safety is your aliveness. You can't feel fully alive when you're half invested in your own life. You might avoid pain, but you'll also avoid joy, passion, and pride. You'll live in the middle, not miserable, but not fulfilled, just existing. So I want you to ask yourself right now, where in your life have you been settling? In your job, your relationships, your health, your dreams? Be honest with yourself. The first step to changing anything is awareness. Because once you see the truth, you can't unsee it. Once you admit, I've been playing small, something inside you shifts. You can't keep living the same way and pretend you don't know. And here's the thing. This isn't about guilt. It's about ownership. You're not broken. You've just been hypnotized by comfort. Every time you choose convenience over challenge, you're training your mind to believe that ease equals happiness. But growth never feels easy. Growth feels uncomfortable. Growth stretches you. And that's why most people avoid it. But that discomfort, that's where life actually begins. You don't get stronger lifting light weights. You don't grow by staying in the same emotional or mental state. You grow by demanding more from yourself. Even when you don't feel ready, you grow when you say, I refuse to live one more day pretending I'm satisfied when I'm not. You want to break the pattern? Start by raising your awareness. Every time you catch yourself saying, it's fine, stop and ask, is it really fine? Or am I settling because I'm afraid to try again? That one question can change everything. Because the moment you choose truth over comfort, your life starts to expand again. You were not created to live a life of average. You were created to express your full potential, to use your gifts, to push beyond what you thought was possible. Settling is a habit, but so is striving. Choose the one that feeds your soul, not just your schedule, because the only thing worse than failing is looking back one day and realizing you never even tried. You want to change your life. You start by raising your standards. That's where everything begins. Your standards are like your personal thermostat. They control the temperature of your life. You can dream all you want. You can talk about what you want. But if your standards stay the same, nothing changes. Because the truth is, you don't always get what you want. You get what you tolerate. Think about that. The quality of your life is a direct reflection of the standards you set for yourself. If you tolerate being late, you'll always be running behind. If you tolerate excuses, you'll always find reasons not to push harder. If you tolerate average, you'll keep living average, no matter how badly you say you want something better. The gap between who you are and who you could be is built on what you're willing to demand from yourself every single day. We all have moments when we say, I want to be in better shape, or I want to make more money, or I want to feel happier. But if your mindset and your habits don't rise to match those words, they're just wishes. Real change happens when you draw a line in the sand and say, enough. This is not my standard anymore. When you stop negotiating with your potential and start expecting more from yourself than anyone else ever could. Raising your standards isn't about arrogance. It's about identity. It's deciding who you really are and refusing to live below that. You've got to say to yourself, this is who I am now. This is how I show up. When you raise your standard, you stop dabbling and start committing. You stop saying, I should, and start saying, I must. And that one shift from should to must is the difference between people who dream and people who do. You see, most people have a list of things they want. Very few have a list of things they will no longer accept. That's where transformation begins, not when you add more to your plate, but when you say, I refuse to live like this any longer. When you raise your standard, you stop waiting for conditions to be perfect. You stop waiting to feel ready. You move because staying the same hurts more than changing. You might be thinking, I've tried before. I've said I'd raise my standards and I still fell back. And that's okay. Because every time you raise them, you're training your mind to believe in a higher version of yourself. It's not about never slipping. It's about never staying down. You learn, you grow, you adjust. And each time your baseline rises. What used to be your best becomes your new normal. But here's the key. Raising your standards is not a one-time event. It's a lifestyle. It's not about achieving perfection. It's about refusing stagnation. It's about waking up every day and saying, I demand more from myself today than I did yesterday. Because if you're not growing, you're slowly dying inside. And you know it. You can feel it when you're playing below your level. That inner voice that whispers, you're meant for more than this. That voice never goes away. You can try to ignore it, but it always finds you. Let's be honest. Raising your standards will make people uncomfortable. When you start expecting more from yourself, the world around you starts to shift. Some people will celebrate you. Others will feel threatened because your growth challenges their comfort. That's not your problem. Your job is not to shrink to make others feel okay about staying small. Your job is to rise and inspire by example. The right people will rise with you. Every breakthrough in life starts with a raised standard. You can't build a great body on lazy habits. You can't build a great career on half-hearted effort. You can't build a great relationship with mediocre communication and inconsistent love. You've got to raise your expectations in every area, mentally, physically, emotionally. Excellence doesn't happen by accident. It's engineered by consistency. You raise your standards, something powerful happens. Your brain starts looking for ways to match the identity you've created. You stop saying, I can't, and start asking, how can I? You become resourceful. You start thinking differently, acting differently, and suddenly opportunities appear that were invisible before. They were always there. You just couldn't see them through the fog of mediocrity. This is not about being the best in the world. It's about being the best for yourself. It's about looking in the mirror and knowing that you gave everything you had today, not because someone was watching, but because you owe it to yourself. You owe it to the kid you once were, dreamed without limits. You owe it to the future you who's counting on you to not give up here. So if you want to transform your life, stop setting goals and start setting standards. Stop talking about what you'll do someday. Decide what's no longer acceptable today. Change what you expect from yourself, and you'll automatically change what you attract. Because in the end, your life will always rise to the level of your standards, never higher. Failure. Just the word makes most people tense up. You can feel it in the room, that quiet discomfort, that sting of memory, because every single one of us has failed. We've fallen short, been rejected, embarrassed, disappointed. Most people build their lives around avoiding that feeling ever again. But here's the truth. Failure isn't the enemy. It's the greatest teacher you will ever have if you're willing to listen. When you redefine failure as feedback, everything in your life changes. You stop hiding from mistakes and start learning from them. You stop saying, I can't do this, and start asking, can this teach me? That's the mindset that separates those who grow from those who stay stuck, because the ones who rise aren't the ones who never fail. They're the ones who never stop getting back up. The problem is, trained to fear failure. From the time we were kids, we were told to avoid being wrong, to play it safe, to get the right answer. So we grow up believing that failure means we're not enough. But that's a lie. Failure doesn't mean you're broken. It means you're trying. It means you're alive. It means you're in the arena while everyone else is sitting on the sidelines pretending they're fine. You can't grow without failing. Think about it. Every skill you've ever learned came from getting it wrong first. You didn't walk perfectly the first time you stood up as a baby. You fell again and again until you figured it out. You didn't quit because you fell. You learned balance through those falls. But somewhere along the way, as adults, we forgot that falling is part of the process. We started attaching shame to it. We started believing that failure says something about who we are instead of what we need to improve. When you fail, the world isn't telling you stop. It's telling you adjust. It's giving you data. Every rejection, every setback, every time you hit a wall, it's life saying there's a better way. But most people take that feedback personally and quit too early. They walk away right before the breakthrough. They choose comfort over growth because they can't stand the sting of temporary defeat. But temporary defeat is how permanent success is built. You want to know who wins in life? The ones who can fail the most without losing enthusiasm. The ones who don't let failure define them, they use it to refine them. They look at what didn't work, they adapt, they evolve, and they come back stronger. Every champion, every innovator, every leader you admire has a long trail of failure behind them. The difference is they didn't label it failure. They labeled it feedback. There's a story about two people who both started the same goal, to build something great. Person failed once and said, this isn't for me. The other failed 10 times and said, okay, now I know 10 ways that don't work. The second person eventually succeeded, not because they were smarter, but because they were relentless. Persistence is the price of progress. You can't avoid pain in life, but you can choose the kind of pain, the pain of discipline or the pain of regret. Failure can do one of two things, break you or build you. It only breaks you when you let it become your identity. When you start saying, I am a failure, instead of I experienced failure. There's a huge difference. One is permanent. The other is a lesson. You can't build a future while holding on to the wounds of the past. You have to look at every failure and ask, what was this trying to teach me? Because behind every challenge, there's a pattern. And when you spot it, you grow. Don't misunderstand me. Failure hurts. It's supposed to. Pain is a signal that something needs to change. It's your internal feedback system saying you're capable of more. So don't numb the pain. Use it. Let it wake you up. Let it light a fire inside you that says, I won't stop until I figure this out. Because that moment, that decision, is when failure turns into power. You've got to stop living your life trying to look perfect. Perfection is the slowest form of death. You'll spend your life pretending you're okay while deep down you know you're shrinking. Growth is messy. Progress is uncomfortable. The people who build extraordinary lives aren't the ones who got it right the first time. They're the ones who kept showing up when everyone else quit. So the next time you fail, don't hide. Don't retreat. Don't make excuses. Stand there, look at it and say, what is this here to teach me? Because that question changes everything. It takes you from victim to student. And when you become a student of life, every failure becomes a gift. Every no brings you closer to a yes. Every fall builds the strength for your next climb. Remember, this failure isn't the opposite of success. It's the foundation of it. Every lesson, every scar, every time you got back up, that's what shaped you into who you are now. Stop running from failure. Run toward it. Because when you face it with courage, when you extract the lesson, you refuse to quit. That's when you stop settling for average and start becoming unstoppable. Let's talk about something that silently shapes your entire life. The people around you. You may not realize it, but your environment, your circle, your community, they are either pushing you forward or quietly holding you back. You don't rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your standards. And your standards are reinforced or destroyed by the people you spend the most time with. If you hang around people who constantly complain, you'll find yourself complaining too. If you're surrounded by people who settle, sooner or later, you'll convince yourself that settling is normal. Energy is contagious. Attitudes are contagious. Mindsets are contagious. You can't spend every day swimming in negativity and expect to come out feeling powerful. That's like trying to stay dry while standing in the rain. It doesn't work. Look at your life right now. The people you talk to the most, the ones you spend your time with, those conversations you have every day, are they fueling you or draining you? Are they challenging you to grow or making you comfortable staying where you are? Because if you want to change your life, you have to change your environment. You can't plant a seed of greatness in toxic soil and expect it to bloom. Most people underestimate how deeply influenced they are by their surroundings. You can have all the ambition in the world, but if you keep surrounding yourself with people who tell you it's impossible, that ambition dies a slow death, you start to believe what they believe, not because it's true, but because it's familiar. That's how dreams fade. Not from failure, but from constant exposure to small thinking. You've got to be intentional about who gets your time, your energy, your attention. Because those three things, time, energy, tension, are your most valuable currencies. You can always make more money, but you can never get back wasted time spent with the wrong people. And I'm not saying you cut everyone out of your life or isolate yourself. I'm saying you raise your standard for connection. You choose proximity to people who remind you of your potential, not your past. When you spend time around people who dream big, who work hard, hold themselves to a higher standard, something inside you awakens. You start to think differently. You start to move differently. You start to believe that greatness is possible because you see it being lived out right in front of you. That's the power of proximity. You don't need to copy anyone, but you do need to learn from people who are already walking the path you want to take. And here's the part most people don't like to hear. Sometimes you outgrow people. It doesn't mean you're better than them. It means you're changing. It means your values, your goals, your hunger for growth have shifted. And that's okay. You can love people from a distance. You can be kind without staying stuck. Because loyalty should never come at the expense of your potential. You can't heal in the same environment that broke you. You can't evolve while surrounding yourself with people who refuse to. So many people never reach their potential because they keep trying to drag everyone with them. They're afraid that growing will make them alone. But here's the truth. When you start leveling up, the right people will find you. You don't lose real friends by growing. You only lose the ones who are comfortable with your limitations. The ones who can't celebrate your success without feeling threatened by it were never meant to go the distance with you. You want to be around people who don't let you settle. People who call you out when you're making excuses. People who believe in your vision even when you doubt yourself. Those are the ones who will stretch you. Those are the people who will hold you accountable to your highest standard. And that kind of accountability, that's love in its truest form. Because real friends don't comfort your mediocrity. They challenge your potential. When you raise your circle, world expands. Conversations change, energy shifts. You stop talking about people and start talking about ideas. You stop gossiping and start strategizing. You stop wasting energy on drama and start focusing on destiny. You start realizing that your time is too valuable to spend it with people who aren't growing. Because when you spend enough time with people who are driven, who are disciplined, who are focused, mediocrity becomes uncomfortable. That's when you truly begin to rise. So take a moment and really think, who are the 5 people influencing your life the most right now? Do they lift you higher or pull you lower? Do they expand your thinking or shrink your dreams? Because your circle is a mirror of your future. You show me your friends and I'll show you your standards. If you want to stop settling for average, surround yourself with people who refuse to settle. Get around those who remind you that you're built for more, who don't let you hide behind your fears, who call out your greatness when you forget it yourself. Because when your circle is strong, your mindset becomes unshakable. In the end, you become the sum of the energy you allow around you. So choose wisely because your environment will either fuel your greatness or feed your excuses. Everybody wants change. Everybody wants progress. Very few people want to do what progress actually requires: consistent, imperfect, daily action. We've built this illusion in our minds that success is supposed to come in big, dramatic moments. One massive breakthrough, one lucky opportunity, perfect plan. But that's not how real growth works. Real growth isn't loud. It's quiet. It's what happens in those unseen moments when nobody's watching. It's built one choice, one habit, one day at a time. The truth is, people overestimate what they can do in a week and underestimate what they can do in a year with consistency. You don't transform by doing everything perfectly. You transform by refusing to quit when it's not perfect. You don't have to take giant leaps, just small, steady steps in the right direction, because small steps done daily create unstoppable momentum. Progress is not about perfection. Perfection is the enemy of progress. It's a trap that keeps you from even starting. How many dreams have died because someone said, I'll start when I'm ready? Ready for what? You're never going to feel fully ready, waiting for the perfect time, the perfect plan, the perfect motivation. That's just fear dressed up as logic. You've got to start messy, start scared, start unsure, but just start. Action creates clarity. Every time you move, you learn something. Every time you take a step, you see the path a little clearer. So many people get stuck because they think if it's not perfect, it's worthless. But perfection doesn't build confidence. Progress does. You can't think your way to confidence. You earn it through doing, through showing up when it's inconvenient, through keeping a promise to yourself when no one else knows about it. That's how you build trust with yourself, one small one at a time. If you wait until you feel motivated, you'll never make it. Motivation doesn't come from it does. When you start taking action, even a little bit, your brain starts releasing energy, excitement, belief. You start proving to yourself, I can do this. And that belief grows with every small victory. That's how progress compounds. That's how ordinary people become extraordinary. Not by doing more than everyone else, but by refusing to stop when everyone else gets bored, distracted, or discouraged. Here's the secret. Success is not built in the moments of excitement. It's built in the moments of boredom. It's built in those ordinary, unglamorous days when nothing feels special, but you keep showing up anyway. That's what separates the committed from the curious. Anyone can show up when it's fun, when it's new, when it's easy. But those who achieve greatness show up even when it's hard, even when it's repetitive, even when the results aren't visible yet. That's discipline. And discipline is the bridge between goals and achievement. You can't demand growth and stay comfortable. You can't expect progress without sacrifice. Every time you push past resistance, the tiredness, the excuses, the distractions, you're rewiring your mind to be stronger. You're teaching yourself that you can be relied on. And that's one of the most powerful beliefs you can ever build, D. The belief that you can count on yourself. Progress doesn't mean you never fall back. It means you fall and you get back up faster each time. You learn the pattern. You catch yourself earlier. You build awareness. That's growth. So don't let the setbacks define you. Let them refine you. You're not supposed to get it right every day. You're supposed to get better every day. You've got to stop judging your journey by how far you still have to go and start celebrating how far you've come. That's not complacency. That's fuel. Gratitude keeps you grounded and progress keeps you moving. Every step counts, even the small ones, especially the small ones, because when you add up 1,000 small wins, you end up standing on a mountain. And let's be honest, progress doesn't always feel good. Sometimes it feels slow, frustrating, even pointless. That's only because change is happening beneath the surface before it becomes visible. You can't see roots growing underground, but they're the foundation for the tree that's about to rise. The work you're doing today, even if no one notices, is shaping the person you're becoming. Keep showing up, because the day you stop digging might be the day before you strike gold. Stop waiting for perfect conditions. Start where you are. Use what you have. Do what you can. Progress doesn't care about excuses. It responds to effort. You don't need to be the best. You just need to be consistent. You don't need to move fast. You just need to move forward. Every single day you show up, you separate yourself from the crowd, because most people give up at discomfort. They confuse slow progress with no progress. But consistency always wins. Always. So if you want to change your life, make progress your obsession. Forget perfection. Forget comparison. Just focus on being 1% better every single day, because that's how you build momentum, and momentum is magic. Once it starts rolling, it becomes unstoppable. And when you finally look back, weeks, months, years from now, you'll realize that those tiny steps, those imperfect days, those quiet moments of persistence, they were the turning point all along. Commitment. That's the real difference maker. It's the line that separates those who wish from those who will. Everyone wants success. Everyone wants fulfillment, but not everyone is willing to commit to what it actually takes. Commitment is not a feeling, it's a decision. It's not what you do when it's convenient. It's what you do when it's not. It's staying true to your vision even when the excitement fades, even when no one claps, even when it feels like nothing is working. That's where character is built. You commit to becoming exceptional. You stop negotiating with mediocrity. You stop saying, I'll try, and start saying, I will. The moment you make that shift, your entire psychology changes. Because try leaves room for escape. I will locks the door behind you. It burns the bridge back to average. Commitment means you're all in, not halfway, not when it's easy, not when you feel motivated, but always. The reason most people never reach greatness is simple. They never fully commit. They keep one foot in comfort and one foot in growth, hoping to have both. But you can't evolve while holding on to what's safe. Growth demands sacrifice. You have to give up who you've been for who you could become. And that's uncomfortable because it requires honesty. It forces you to look at yourself and say, I can do more. I can be more. That's not always fun to face, but it's the truth. And truth is the birthplace of transformation. You've got to decide what kind of person you want to be, not once, but every day. Because commitment isn't a one-time choice, it's a daily renewal of that choice. Every morning you get up and decide again, will I live with intention or will I drift? I move forward or will I coast? Because if you don't make that decision consciously, your habits, your fears, and your old patterns will make it for you. Being exceptional doesn't mean being perfect. It means refusing to settle for anything less than your best effort. It's about showing up when it's hard, giving when you're tired, believing when results haven't shown up yet. That's the mindset of someone who's truly committed. You don't quit because you hit resistance. You double down. You don't shrink when things get tough. You rise to meet them. Because deep down, you know that what you're building is bigger than the pain of the moment. That's what commitment really is. It's emotional endurance. It's the ability to keep going when everything in you wants to stop. It's staying faithful to the process even when the outcome is uncertain. Because greatness isn't built on bursts of motivation. It's built on sustained effort over time. Those who master consistency, those who can stay committed when it's boring, when it's frustrating, no one is watching, those are the ones who win. You can't demand excellence in your life if you keep giving yourself permission to quit. Every time you break a promise to yourself, you weaken your belief in what you're capable of. Every time you keep a promise, even a small one, you strengthen that internal muscle of trust. That's how you build power, by proving to yourself again and again that you can count on you. That's self-respect. And without it, no amount of external success will ever fill you. There will be days when you question yourself, when doubt whispers that you're wasting your time. That's normal. Every person chasing greatness faces those voices. The difference between those who stop and those who rise is simple. The ones who rise don't listen to the voice of limitation. They acknowledge it, but they act anyway. They understand that doubt is just a test of commitment. The way you pass it is by moving forward one more step, one more effort, one more try. Being exceptional is not about being special. It's about being relentless. It's about refusing to let circumstances dictate who you are. It's about saying, may not be the smartest, I may not be the fastest, but I will outwork, outlast, and outcommit anyone who stands in my way. That's what separates the extraordinary from the average, not talent, not luck, An unshakable commitment to becoming the best version of yourself. And make no mistake, there's a price to that level of commitment. It means long nights, hard conversations, and sacrifices that others might not understand. It means choosing growth over comfort again and again, but the reward is worth it. Because nothing feels better than knowing you gave everything, that you didn't hold back, that you demanded more from yourself than anyone else ever could. You live with that kind of commitment. You stop chasing happiness and start creating it. You stop waiting for opportunities and start building them. You stop asking for permission and start leading your own life. Because once you decide that average is no longer an option, something shifts inside you, and that shift changes everything. In the end, life will always test your commitment. It will ask you, badly do you want this? And your answer won't be in your words, it'll be in your actions, your habits, your persistence. So when that moment comes, don't hesitate. Stand tall, look it in the eye, prove through your effort that you are done settling for average. Because the world doesn't give you what you want. It gives you what you're committed to.